as Elliot Friedman mentioned, yes, these teams give up a lot of shots, so if you like offense, you have dialed up the right place. The Canadians making 2 lineup changes. Travis Moen will be in the lineup. He's back from facial injury as well. David Desharnais, he has struggled, was benched Tuesday against the Blues. In fact, he was a healthy scratch. He's back in the lineup. As for Ottawa, they're running the same lineup that they had Tuesday in their win against Columbus, which means Robin Lehner will make his second straight start, replacing the injured Craig Anderson. Lehner might be a very busy man. In their last 6 games, the Senators have allowed 38 shots per game. Both coaches know they need a quick start. Montreal, when the other team scores first, have lost 7 of 8 games. Ottawa has lost 9 of 10 when the other team scores first. Time for our national anthem, Lyndon Sluage.
And now, please join Lyndon Sluage as he performs our national anthem. Et maintenant, joignez-vous Lyndon Sluage pour l'interprétation de notre hymne national.
If rivalries are made in the playoffs, these geographic rivals cranked it up a few notches in the first round last spring. This is the first meeting between Ottawa and Montreal since that 5-game Ottawa win, and it comes in an important month of conference play for both Montreal and Ottawa. Montreal ranks 5th defensively, thanks in part to a great start by Carey Price. This is his 14th start. His save percentage is .933, 6th in the league, and he's 14-5 career against Ottawa in the regular season. Robin Lehner's been a busy guy. In 5 starts, he's averaged 42 shots against. That makes his .943 save percentage stand out even more. His backup tonight's Nathan Lawson, with Craig Anderson still out and hurting. Referees tonight, Brad Meyer, Greg Kimberly, Greg Dvorsky, and Mark Wheeler. And you see the Senators in their heritage sweaters, just the second time they've worn those. And they start a great line with Kyle Turris at center. But the Canadians steal the puck, and Max Pacioretty goes in after it to Plekanec, and he shot the puck off the side of the net after an early turnover by Kyle Turris in the neutral zone. He's with Clark MacArthur and Bobby Ryan on the best offensive line for the Ottawa Senators against some revamped lines for the Canadians. Thomas Plekanec, Max Pacioretty just rounding into form after an injury, and Brian Gionta. There's a long shot by Rafael Diaz, and the Senators are where they don't want to be and have spent too much time in their own zone early this season, and now they move in over the blue line offside.
Well, the one problem Ottawa has had is in the turnovers, and not just the turnovers, but critical turnovers. Montreal loves this transitional game. Turris gets caught in the neutral zone, turns it over, and Montreal takes it right to the net, and the puck goes off the shin pad of the defenseman, and Robin Lehner just takes it turned on the ice. And he was on his back. You see him lose his balance right there, and Plekanec almost tried to short side this, but no go.
Almost a disastrous start. Ottawa's had trouble getting the first goal. They don't play very well from behind, and they've been behind way too much. And they've been in their own end too much. They haven't had much pace to their game, Gary, and Paul McLean says that's largely because they've been in their own end way too much.
It's taxing. When you play in your end, it wears you down, not just physically, but mentally as well.
Here the Bluebirds were out. PK Subban must be on the ice, and there he is, number 76, and he gave the puck away. And he gave it to Chris Neal into the middle. McCulloch's in front. Zach Smith couldn't get him the puck. And both of these teams played a turnover game early. There's Lars Eller to center with Galchenyuk and Gallagher. This young line is back together again. They were taken apart to try and get other lines going. Subban, hot shot, stopped by Leonard, and the rebound's gobbled up by Chris Neal. He plays the puck to center. Zach Smith with his mates on a change. Dumps the puck in and heads for the bench. And now he'll push and shove with Gallagher. And Lars Eller comes in. And the ill will picks up where it left off. Zach Smith and Brendan Gallagher got at it.
One of the things with PK Subban and Erik Karlsson is they both like to look you off. They have so much confidence with the puck. They want to wait you out and wait you out. But players now go directly at them. They do not widen out and try to angle them. They go straight at them, and there's your turnover. And then Gallagher gets absolutely pasted on a clean check by Chris Neal. That's a guy you want to punish every time you get a chance. He's the heartbeat of that club. And only like PK can, he unloads this slap shot. He has got an absolute howitzer from the blue line, and Robin Leonard gets the right pad on that.
So PK sits down, and so will Gallagher and Zach Smith. They'll both get penalties as the referees early on want to send a message that they're not going to let this game get out of control. And most of that was for the yapping they did to each other at the bench on the way to it.
All for talking, and Michel Therrien is asking about the hit from Chris Neal on Gallagher, but that was a clean hit, good shoulder. And we'll look at Gallagher and Smith coming together, and everybody, the Senators know that Gallagher is he's a guy you got to take care of. He's been playing great for Montreal. He's been their most consistent forward, and again, he's the heartbeat of those 9 top forwards that they have.
4-on-4 action. Early on, both teams have had scoring chance. Rafael Diaz. His ice time has really picked up, and there's another turnover. Both of these teams are pretty guilty in the first couple of minutes of playing giveaway. Jared Cowan, he's paired with number 65, Erik Karlsson. He popped up the puck. Gionta stopped by Leonard. Both of these coaches will be saying, could we just get back to the beginning, drop the puck and start over?
Well, we talked up these two guys at the start because of their offensive capabilities. We've seen 2 horrific turnovers. Both players putting the puck in a location where they can't protect it. Putting the puck into the middle of the ice. You want to keep it to the outside. Putting it into the middle gives Gionta a great shot at turning it over. And what a save by Leonard.
Jason Spezza out on the face-off against Lars Eller. The Canadians got the draw. But Spezza gets the puck. He and McCulloch playing together here. They don't play together much at 5-on-5, and there's another giveaway, and in comes Andrei Markov, and a good poke check there by Chris Phillips to knock the puck away from Eller. On the other side, Andrei Markov, rink wide. Leonard kicks the puck out with some help from Chris Phillips. Another cross-ice pass. Markov back to Pacioretty. Trying to get away, and he's held onto, but no arm goes up. Subban with a shot, knocked down by Leonard, but he couldn't catch it. And Eric Gryba picks up the puck. He and Eller on the ice together, and Gryba got pushed into the boards by Lars Eller. Eller goes after Chris Phillips. Subban from Markov gets the shot, blocked in front. The puck is loose, and Milan McCulloch comes back to pick it up. And the Senators get out of their own zone to center. There's some great chances for Montreal. Here's a drop pass. Spezza with a shot off the stick of Markov and wide. Cowan races to hold the line. Spezza for McCulloch, swatted away by Andrei Markov, who's been very active early on, and he gets the puck out to center, and both teams are making changes. Mark Mathot is on the ice, number 3 for Ottawa, dumps the puck in. Mika Zibanejad in after Josh George as they battle for the puck, and the Senators come up with it. Bobby Ryan with Zibanejad, in sneaks Karlsson from the right point, couldn't get him the puck. And Carey Price plays it away, and the Canadians come out to center. Penalties are over. It's 5-on-5 again as Smith and Gallagher skate back into the play. Zibanejad out of his own zone, safely to center. No further though. He's trying to get the puck to Bobby Ryan. It's intercepted by Gallagher and shot back in. 2 passes and out for the Senators this time. They've really worked in the last week or so on breaking out of their own zone, not spending any time trying to get out of their own zone. They want to get back, get the puck, get it out, and they'll get it all the way down here because the Canadians are called for icing.
Well, less time in your end, the better, and it's looked so pretty good here the last few shifts. 4-on-4 hockey. Your forwards have their D, the D have the forwards, and you got to have tight coverage in your zone. Senators guilty of giving the same seam pass 3 times, and Markov made it 3 times. and they came across the ice, and they had two good chances to score. Got lucky break on the penalty there to Greiba that wasn't called, and Leonard's got to make a heck of a glove save on PK Subban.
Senators yet to get a shot on Carey Price. Mark Borowiecki put the puck into Derek Grant behind the net. His centering pass. And the thought for the shot. Ricochet right on. And Carey Price has to make a tough save on a deflection. I think an own deflection off one of his own guys in front of the net. And Price hangs on.
Put the puck into traffic. Mark McLeod does a good job. He doesn't overthink it. It's not a big, huge windup. He gets a location where he sees an opening for this puck, and he's going to lay it to the net where all the traffic is. Good job by the Senators getting the puck, locating it. And this puck comes awful close to going in. Carey Price, and remember, those pads have been shortened about 4 inches off the top, so the 5-hole is more vulnerable for them, but he squeezed that off pretty good.
But you know what I'm seeing around the league? Some guys are better because of the shorter pads. Their athleticism shows through. They can move better. So it's not been all bad for the goaltenders who've had to shorten their pads. Senators win the draw. Phillips takes the shot. That didn't get through the crowd. Zach Smith, Chris Neal battling in front. A centering pass, and a shot by McCulloch went off a stick and wide. PK Subban battling against this Smith line with Neal and McCulloch. Ryan White, Gallagher and Eller to the blue line. No further. Phillips held the line, but only for a moment. Eller moves the puck to center. White will get off, and on comes Alex Galchenyuk to join his line. Eric Greiba. Long pass to center and a tip through that facilitates an Ottawa change. Price to Markov, and quickly the Senators come up. They'll let Subban carry the puck, but he's in slow motion to center. Galchenyuk with a tip in, and Montreal wants a change. Jared Cowan. Team with Erik Karlsson. Turris. Kocheck turned the puck over again, and Montreal trying to get to the net. Can't do it. Plekanec couldn't quite get to the net. There's a wrestling match behind the play. It's Cowan and Pacioretty as the puck moves into the Montreal end. Bobby Ryan threw the puck wide of the net. Here comes Karlsson off the boards. Fires the shot. Didn't get to the net. Georges blocked it. And the Canadians do an awful lot of that. And Price stopped playing.
Well, no shortage of things happening in the early part of this game, Jim. Right out in the neutral zone, Brendan Gallagher gets all tied up with Greiba at the Senators' blue line as referee giving Michel Therrien exactly what's going on here. And Gallagher's in the middle of everything. I mean, that's the kind of player he is. He cuts to the outside, tried to chip a puck by Greiba, and Greiba gets a stick and arm as Gallagher squeezes the stick and gets his arm around it. Probably could have been a penalty on both sides. And this is something Montreal has done well all year. They had 38 blocks the other night against St. Louis. Josh Georges leads the charge in that department. The 6 guys playing tonight have blocked 175 pucks. There's 176 right there.
George is one of the best in the league at that. Spezza won the faceoff. Cowan put the shot towards the net and went in behind. Here's Colin Green with Spezza and Zibanejad. And the Canadians counter with Pacioretty, Plekanec, and Gionta, and they dump the puck in and give chase. And they're swatted it away. Plekanec centering, didn't get to Pacioretty. Plekanec again. In for Brian Gionta, side of the net. Leonard has to make a nice save on Max Pacioretty as the Senators get in trouble in their own zone once again, and now the shots are 5-1 Montreal.
You mentioned in the onset how busy Robin Leonard has been. He's coming into this game in his 5 starts, 209 shots against, including 57 with the Islanders, 50 from San Jose. That's 107 in 2 games. And what a big save this is on Pacioretty. And tell me he wouldn't like to see one of those go in, get himself going. He's missed so many games with injury.
Off the draw, Subban with another shot that goes wide of the net. Off the end boards, cuts off the side of the net. Leonard got a piece of that. Here they come again. Markov's shot, a floater that went just wide of the net. And the Senators are in trouble in their own zone again. Leonard stopped the puck, couldn't smother it. The thought of Desharnais were in quite a battle in front of the net, and the puck comes out to center. And this is a recurring theme for the Ottawa Senators early in this game, early in this season. They can't get out of their own zone, and they're giving up a lot of shots. They've been over 50 3 times, over 40 6 times, over 30 in 12 of 15 games in shots against.
Hard to believe a guy that has a save percentage of .943 has only won 1 game. And that's because of the bulk of shots he's facing.
It's hard to score when you're in your own end. And back in the Senators' end again. White along the boards is checked. Eric Grant trying to pull away, move out of his own zone. He's got Cassian with him and Corey Conacher. They get into the attacking zone. Douglas Murray is the first man back. Bounced against the boards, but he got the puck to Brian Giunta. His aerial gets it out. He wants a change. And the puck is out of play. Is it out of play on the bench? The Senators want Giunta to be penalized, and the referees will consult about this on Hockey Night in Canada.
Now for our Hockey Night bio presented by Subway. Two of the great young players in the game, PK Subban, Erik Karlsson. Of course, the last two Norris Trophy winners going head-to-head tonight. This year, believe it or not, they are the top two leading scorers for defensemen yet again. Karlsson, 9 points in his last 5 games. He told me this morning his game and PK's game are pretty similar. He said we're both offensive-minded, but PK a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical. I enjoy watching him play. Karlsson, of course, a 7-year, $45 million deal. We'll wait and see what PK gets. Remember, he's an RFA. Jim.
That would be restricted free agent. As Phillips takes the shot off a one face-off. And again, there's a crowd in front of that Montreal net, and the puck didn't get through to Carey Price. David Desharnais starts the breakup. Galchenyuk, rink wide. Here's Lars Eller. Gallagher with him. And his shot was deflected away from the net by Milan McCullough. Gallagher stole the puck, and the reason he got it is because he's getting a penalty for tripping up Eric Gryba. And the Senators take exception to the fact that he shot the puck after the whistle. And he better be careful because Robin Leonard would just love to go after him.
He's gotten caught mixed up. He took the hard hit from Neal, and then he got mixed up with Gryba at the blue line where the two of them were jostling. And he's an emotional player, and that's what I love about him. He's a little pit bull around the net, and he's not happy with this call as he comes into the corner, and he battles hard around the net. He feels like Gryba just went down a bit too easy for a guy that big, and he's coming over to let the referee know. And again, you're planting a seed too as a player. You want to plant the seed in the referee's mind. You know, I think he dove and maybe get one back later, but he'll have to serve 2 minutes or less in this one. And the Senators, who only have one shot in this game, this is an opportunity for them to try to get some offensive zone time and get a little bit of offensive rhythm in their game right now. Their power play is, you know, right in the middle of the pack in the National Hockey League, but the penalty killing for both these teams have been outstanding.
Problem with Ottawa is they haven't had enough power plays. They've been shorthanded way more than they've been on the power play, and they try and get set up. Turris takes the shot. Price makes the save, and he hangs on for a faceoff. And this is a power play that's almost like having 5 forwards on the ice because they use 4 forwards and Erik Karlsson.
Winning face-off. Both these teams are decent face-off teams. You want possession. There's the umbrella setup. Karlsson up in the middle, and they widen their 2 forwards out in the one-timer positions. Tough to defense against, especially when you got a guy like Karlsson on the backside with such good vision, and he can rip it.
Turris will be on the point with him. Not an unusual position for him. That shot didn't get through. Another block for the Canadians. And now the Senators get the puck back. MacArthur restricted it, and this will give Montreal a chance to clear. McCann's got the puck down the ice. Montreal's penalty killing 5th in the league right now. It was 23rd last year. They've improved that early in the season. Turris, Ryan, MacArthur, Spezza. Spezza's come on for Turris as the Canadians try and get away shorthanded here. New role for Max Pacioretty this year. He gets some penalty killing time. And he's out on the ice with Ryan White. Kyle Turris leads the Senators in. His pass was tipped, but he gets it back. Then he's stripped of it. Chance for an on-man rush here. White trying to pull away. Pacioretty's with him. Up late. Markov is stopped by Robin Leonard. Another shot short side, missed the net.
A hat trick for Kyle Turris. Only halfway through the first period in turnovers.
Markov has been all over the ice tonight. He's been the offensive catalyst early on, getting chances for Montreal. The game is still scoreless, though. And the Senators are still on a power play.
Tyrion talked about how improved this penalty killing has been. It was atrocious last year, and you mentioned they're 50. 90% on the road. Killing on the road, that's exactly what you want to see. They've done a good job here on this first one.
They don't kill much with PK Subban anymore. Pretty much off the penalty killing unit. Karlsson pokes the puck by Lars Eller. McCullough to Chris Phillips. Chris Neal is on the second power play unit with Zibanejad and McCullough. And Michael Borneball gets the puck and puts it out to center. Last rush for the power play as Karlsson moves back in. delays, looking for someone to pass to. Now the crowd forms in front of the net. He goes for a skate, penalties over. Gallagher's back on. Bank shot to the net by McCulloch. Knocked away, and Gallagher took a hit, but he pushed the puck all the way down the ice. Erik Karlsson back to collect it, and he plays it to Mark Borowiecki. Halfway through the first period, shots on goal are 6-3 Montreal. Team awaits its first goal. The Senators open one of the power play. Another Karlsson turnover. Gionta can't get a shot away. And that was a case of Zach Smith bailing out Erik Karlsson with a poke check.
2 minutes on the power play. He gets caught on the ice. He just want to put that puck in a safe place. Good puck management. Good on Zach Smith to have his back there.
Here's a 3-on-2. PK is into this rush, but it's late in his shift, so Bouillon dumps the puck in, and the Canadians change on the fly. Jared Cowan out to center. Zach Smith advances the puck, not deep. Georges to Rafael Diaz. Cowan threw the puck into the middle of the ice, and the Canadians take over, but Desharnais offside. Georges holds up and then dumps the puck in. Turris, MacArthur, and Ryan, this top line with 14 goals. 17 points in the last 4 games for this group. And they've been Ottawa's best bet to get a goal, and they're on the ice right now. David Desharnais, though, has the puck in the attacking zone for Montreal. Galchenyuk coming on the ice. René Bourque is there. Turris back defensively to Bobby Ryan. His pass is behind MacArthur, and the Canadians have the puck back. Subban and Markov advance the puck into the Ottawa zone. And Robin Lehner will cover up in just behind Eric Gryba and stop play. You're watching a Thursday night edition of CBC's Hockey Night in Canada from Ottawa.
They're having some turnover issues for sure. And again, it's all about, I mentioned it earlier, puck management. When you're in tight quarters, put the puck in a safe place, especially the way things have been going. And they've had about 6 or 7 pucks that they've turned over. And they're not just turning them over, but they're turning them over in critical areas where the quality scoring chance is a grade A quality. And that's what you don't want to do. So they're going to have to tighten that up here.
Canadians get the draw. Markov got a shot that was blocked, and Colin Greening starts out. Jason Spezza and Mika Zibanejad. Spezza to Greening, it was in his feet. He's taken to the end boards by PK Subban, whose partner Markov comes up with a puck. Markov with a tip, goes deep. No icing on the play. Leonard's out to play it. Senators trying to break out, just about turn it over again. Zibanejad with a tip ahead. Spezza on his own from a sharp angle, and an easy save for Carey Price. Zibanejad trying to hold the puck, and he does. Spezza has it swept away. Now he's in trouble. He can't get his stick loose. And the Canadians, Brendan Gallagher, in after the puck. Lars Eller and Alex Galchenyuk. And there's going to be a penalty on this play after the scrum in the corner, and it's going to be a cross-check.
Maybe Mr. Gallagher, when he lost his temper with the official, is going to get a call here. And we'll have a look at it as Jason Spezza makes his way towards the penalty box. And remember, there was a basketball court down on this ice surface, and it looks a bit bouncy, and the players are having some issues, as you'll see Jason Spezza come in on Galchenyuk there and just get the stick along the numbers. It wasn't a vicious movement by any means, but one where he knocks him down on the numbers and gets the call right there. The Montreal power play, which on the road this year has been brilliant, will go against the Senators' penalty kill. That's almost been perfect over the whole season.
Best at home in the NHL, 1 power play goal against, 6 home games. Canadians get the draws. Subban had the puck. He and Markov man the points. They are the real catalysts of the offense at 5-on-5 and on the power play for Montreal. Subban sneaking into the backdoor play. Thomas Plekanec. Gionta's in the slot. He was tapping his stick and wanted the puck. Max Pacioretty's on the ice. Pass comes to Gionta. He kicks it back. Here's Subban with a shot that's blocked by Derek Grant. The Canadians get the puck back. Markov tees it up. His shot scores! A deflection in front. 1-0 Montreal.
Nice movement. And this is a power play that's humming along at about 33% on the road. Number 1 in the National Hockey League, and they just took down the best penalty killing unit in the National Hockey League at home, the Senators. with some good movement of all their 5 guys. You mentioned you saw Subban down the back door. Pacioretty will roll this up to the top. All 5 players are moving around, and they didn't have a lot of traffic in front. You'll see Pacioretty work his way towards the front of the net. A give and go with Subban, and this thing rips through and looks like it went off the leg, possibly out high. Maybe it went off 2 people almost, up high and down low. Maybe Cowan. You could see Leonard's reaction was he looked to his right immediately as this thing took off. It definitely changed directions.
It'll be Markov's goal in all likelihood, but without question a deflection off Cowan, maybe someone else. And Montreal has a 1-0 lead, so the Senators on home ice playing from behind, chasing the game again. And for both of these teams, as mentioned, that first goal has been critical, and Montreal gets it with a man advantage. Here's Bobby Ryan with a shot, he scores! And the Senators get it right back. 28 seconds.
That's 9 goals from Bobby Ryan. I think 7 of them look just like that, where the puck gets onto his stick. And I got to tell you, I can't even get the word to 1 out of my mouth, and I'm counting. And that thing is already rolling around the back of the screen in the net. Great job by the Senators. They just got scored on. Get the puck into the offensive zone right away. Control the back of the net. MacArthur doesn't throw it away. He waits for Ryan to roll himself into the high slot. Oftentimes, when players roll into that high slot, players on the defensive side get a bit confused because the forward is so high in the zone. And when Ryan took that on his stick, it was gone. And boy, Carey Price just never saw it. What a nice goal.
So that's 6 goals in 5 games for that Turris-MacArthur-Ryan combination. And more importantly, 1-1 game. Markov gets the Canadiens goal on the power play from Subban and Plekanec, and 28 seconds later, Bobby Ryan has tied the game 1-1. Here's David Desharnais driving the net is Rennie Bourque. The pass didn't get to him. Desharnais overskated the puck. Mark Methot has it. His pass dangerously up the middle, but got disadvantage, and he turned it over in the neutral zone, and the Canadiens shoot it back in. There's an icing call against Montreal as the fans cheer the goal by Bobby Ryan, who was brought here probably to play with Jason Spezza, but ends up with Kyle Turris on what has become the #1 line.
Teams work on defensive zone coverage all the time, and what happened was the Canadiens just had 2 players that went to MacArthur and left. And you'll watch it as it comes up the lane. You're going to see Eller on the lower half, and over comes Galchenyuk. Both of them take MacArthur, which leaves Ryan wide open, and you don't have to give him much time, as we saw his release there.
Canadiens, after an icing call, got the puck out of their own zone, dumped it deep, and get the change they sought. 4th line shift for both teams. Carlson to Cowan. Here's Derek Grant. Centering pass. Conacher picked the puck up, but he couldn't get the shot. Douglas Murray was right there in his face. Travis Moen to center. Ryan White drops the puck off. A rare rush for Douglas Murray, and he got hit at the blue line by Jared Cowan. Mark Methot finds a little room, makes the pass. That Cassian at center can't handle the puck, and it pops off his skate up out of the Ottawa bench, stopping play. Andre Markov has scored for Montreal. Bobby Ryan for Ottawa on CBC's Hockey Night in Canada. Neil Alfredson, who went to Detroit but brought in Bobby Ryan. He's the new Alfie, and he's started on a great scoring pace.
Well, you look back at his time in Anaheim, and he put up 30-goal seasons quite, on a yearly basis, and coming to Ottawa, he's off to a great start. And Brian Murray, I think, is just thrilled. I don't think he's thrilled not having Alfie here, but I think he's thrilled to be able to acquire a guy like Bobby Ryan, who's able to get on this line with Kyle Turris and Clark MacArthur, and they've been their most consistent line.
That's the good news. The bad news is they've got to find some consistency and some good line mates for Jason Spezza.
Yeah, and I think they're hoping that Milan McCulloch at some point will get back to some form that he was when he had that great year when he scored the 40 goals. And I think you also have to hope that Colin Greening can find his way a little bit here. A big body that they think can do some good forechecking and be a physical player, and he's kind of struggled a bit.
3 of the last 4 games and 8 games of 15 this season. Kyle Turris has played more than Jason Spezza. He's become the #1 center because his line has been best. Turris, Ryan, MacArthur on the ice right now, and they draw Subban and Markov as the defensive pair to play against them. Buchanan's along the boards, gets the puck to Brian Giunta, and he'll just advance it, and Erik Karlsson under pressure moves the puck to center. Zach Smith, he's got McCulloch on his wing. Chris Neil on the other side. McCulloch looking for Neil, couldn't get him the puck, and the Canadians break up. Frankie Bouillon, number 55, to center, dumps the puck in, but he had a teammate just offside. Crack cocaine, alcohol, and criminal connections. The Fifth Estate has the inside story of the mayor of Toronto with details never before revealed. That's Friday at 9 on CBC TV.
Well, I think in the first 15 minutes of this first period, we've gotten a pretty good look at why these teams and their records are the way they are. That they've got some firepower, but they make a lot of mistakes in their end, and it causes them some goals. And right now, we've seen a couple of mistakes and a couple of goals.
Both of these teams have pretty tough schedules playing in the West. Ottawa's played 11 times, or 9 times. Montreal 11 times against Western teams already. And tough teams.
The West has been on fire. I mean, they're just playing. They're so strong.
Especially against the East. Ready Bourque. There's Michael Bournival in front of the net. David Desharnais is there as well. Jason Spezza defensively moved the puck to Colin Greening. His pass too hot to handle for Zibanejad. George has missed it. Diaz for Bourque. Driving the middle, Desharnais, and Bourque couldn't get him the puck. So Greening is back to collect it, and Ottawa starts out again. Here's Spezza. Gains the line, has some choices. His shot went off a stick. Greening has to chase the puck. Just onto the ice, 19-year-old Alex Galchenyuk dumps the puck in deep. He comes on with Eller and Gallagher. And a pass to the blue line is intercepted. Milan McCulloch starts out. Erik Karlsson leads the rush. His shot goes off Markov and up into the netting. And PK Subban was tangled up with Chris Neil, who then slid into Carey Price, knocking him down.
That's just an unfortunate accident that he slides into Price, but lucky enough, Price is okay.
It's time for the Crown Royal Icebreaker. Why not try Crown Royal Maple on the Rocks? Crown Royal, the official whiskey partner of the NHL.
Carey Price and some human bowling with Chris Neil, who comes sliding in, as you see on our net cam for LASIK MD.
Well, he got taken down, and I think the path was on the way to Carey Price, and I don't know if he could have changed that. He was down on the ground, but he took out the legs of Carey Price from behind him, so he lucky he didn't fall back and hit his head. We already know that Anderson's missing from the Senators lineup on a collision at the net, and lucky he'll be back soon, but those collisions in the net are tough.
Turris won the draw. Karlsson got the shot. Ottawa's been much better on faceoffs than Montreal early in the game. And so the Canadians are trying to break out of their own zone. Markov and Subban and the Buchanan's line out against Kyle Turris' group. Ryan can't find the puck. It fell at his feet. PK comes in to get it. Sees a little room, and now he decides to back off. Markov. What a difference in these two. They're both offensive defensemen, but Markov would far rather pass the puck where PK loves to carry it.
He's a bit of a defensive conscience for PK right now as well, and it's a pretty good one to have beside you.
Collins. In with Smith and Neil again. Ryan White, Travis Mullen, Brendan Gallagher out with them right now. It's headed towards Peros. Gallagher with a little extra ice time, and the way he's played this season, he deserves it. He twists and turns and cycled the puck in for Travis Mullen. Couldn't make a centering pass. The play's broken up by McCulloch. He's tripped up, and there'll be another penalty here. And Brendan Gallagher has been front and center throughout this game, and he's about to go to the penalty box for the second time.
With almost an even 2 minutes left in this period and a chance for Ottawa to maybe go to the locker room with a lead as they go on the power play, Brendan Gallagher's stick just gets in the wrong place as he swipes for the puck. He catches the toe of the skate of Milan McCulloch, and that just sends him topsy-turvy forward, and the referee makes the call, and it's the right call as the Ottawa Senators will go on the power play. You mentioned Ottawa's kind of had the advantage in the faceoff circle right now, and Jason Spezza will hope to win this back. They can get some good offensive time in the zone.
He's got Greening and Zibanejad with him, Phillips and Karlsson to start this power play.
want to be cautious that you don't give a shorty here. Montreal's got 3 of them, and you're coming late in the period here, so he'll put Phillips on the point with Carlson.
Ottawa worked for their last 11 with a man advantage. Phillips pitches against Giunta. Out here with Plekanec. Carlson has some room. Skates the puck in. One-timer by Spezza. Got through to the net. And drifted just wide after a couple of deflections. Giunta gets to the puck. He's with Plekanec. Short-handed. Phillips is back. Zibanejad comes back hard, and the shot is stopped by Leonard. Good back check by Mika Zibanejad. He was doing his Erik Karlsson imitation. Now Karlsson the other way. Greening goes to the net. Spezza falls in behind and takes the pass. His pass goes back to Phillips, but he can't hold the line. He has to chase the puck back to center. That allows the Canadiens to get a penalty-killing change. Power play's changing up too. Karlsson won't go anywhere though. Pacioretty along the boards with Eller, trying to get the puck out, can't do it, and the Fox kept it in. Douglas Murray off the boards and out.
What happens when you get your defenseman down low under the goal line is everyone's rotating around. You've left one guy back there, and Montreal almost stung Ottawa short-handed.
Turris line out of the power play now. He's got MacArthur with him. Bobby Ryan on his off wing. Mark the thought with a slap pass. Too hot to handle for Turris. Here's Karlsson. Passes off. MacArthur rink wide. The thought shoots. That's deflected in front off a leg and wide of the net. MacArthur to Turris. Good pressure here for the Canadiens penalty killers. 4 of them come near the puck. 3 of them along the boards, and they get control. Eller to center. Pacioretty drives wide and shoots. And that's deflected up into the netting. With 21 seconds to go in the penalty to Gallagher and about the same in the period.
2 reasons why Montreal's penalty killing is better. This is their new flood kill. 3 guys are going to come over and outnumber Montreal on the wall. You'd rather win the battle there than out in front of your net. And I think Montreal does a good job of it. Second reason, Carey Price. He's got to be your best penalty killer. And I think last year he struggled shorthanded with a save percentage around .805. This year, .900. So your goaltender's got to be your best penalty killer.
These penalty killers have gone 5 straight games and into the 6th one here without giving up a power play goal. Zach Smith running out of time in the period. Bounces the puck in. Douglas Murray backward, almost turned that into an adventure with Smith right there. And Markov lifts the puck in the air, and he's lucky it didn't go over the glass. It just went onto the Canadiens bench. And the period comes to an end when they drop the puck to start the second period. The Gallagher penalty will be complete. After a period, it's a 1-1 game. Andrei Markov has scored for Montreal on the power play. Bobby Ryan has his 9th goal of the season for the Ottawa Senators 28 seconds later on Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Welcome back. Moments ago, I had a chance to talk to Habs assistant coach Gerard Gallant. He really liked the way the team played, especially in those first 5 minutes. He said, look, Leonard played really well. We could have had 2 or 3 goals early on. Wish we had buried some of those chances, but if we keep skating, keep our discipline, stay out of the box, we will be just all right in this game. Jim Houston, Gary Galley, have your call now for the second period. Gentlemen.
So David over in the box. Brendan Gallagher steps out of the drop of the puck, and they'll want him to stay out of that box. Now that's 6 minutes in penalties in the first 20 for Brendan Gallagher as the second period gets underway with Ottawa and Montreal tied 1-1. Carey Price and Robin Leonard, the goal tenders, and the goal scorers, Andrei Markov and Bobby Ryan. And Leonard plays the puck at the side of his net. Eller intercepted a clearing attempt in front. Galchenyuk stopped by Leonard. Another Ottawa turnover and a great save by Robin Leonard. There's Chris Phillips. His outlet to center. Got right by Clark MacArthur. Zach Smith make that. And Galchenyuk tries to come back in. And the Canadiens turn the puck over in the attacking line. Galchenyuk, the end of his shift to Brian Giunta. He'll delay and wait for some help. Centering pass, and in front of the net, Kreiba is there, and he just kept the puck away from the Canadiens, although he couldn't clear it. Subban held the puck in. An outlet, intercepted, turned over again. Back in comes Thomas Plekanec with a hot shot, and a nice save again by Robin Leonard. from the blue line. Andre Markov. Max Pacioretty. Turris line against Plekanec line. That's been a matchup throughout this game. Turris has been excellent on faceoffs. 4-0 against Plekanec. 5-0 for the game. The Senators won 76% of the draws. It's what they've done once they've got the puck. It's been a problem. Here's Plekanec off the wing, and his shot of a rolling puck went wide of the net. Kyle Turris. Bobby Ryan had the stick knocked out of his hands. So he goes after Diaz without one. Now he'll go to the bench on a change. And an icing call against Montreal. The Canadiens won't be able to change in this long change second period.
Montreal might be letting them win the draws, because then the turnovers are coming. I mean, Eric Greiba, this is a play to Leonard, and again, he's not the greatest puck-moving goalie, but he puts it onto Greiba's stick, and there's one turnover, and nobody holding the fort in front. There's Greiba again, second turnover, and this is all within seconds of each other, and Leonard has to make another great save for his defenseman. I mean, he's got his back, but they've got to cut these down quickly, or this is going to get out of hand.
Corey Conacher didn't play very much in the first period. Fourth liners didn't get much ice time for either team. Back the other way, David Desharnais. Waiting, has a man in front, and the centering pass didn't get to René Bourque from the blue line. George's shot hit his own man, knocked down by David Desharnais, and that stung to the net. Desharnais stays there. Bournival is with him. Milan McCulloch along the boards, he's checked. Michael Bournival. Shawinigan native has René Bourque and Desharnais with him. Senators get the puck back, and out they start to center. Carlson moves the puck. The centering pass turned over, and back comes George Parros with a rare ship. I think it's his third of the game. Mark Methot, pursued by Parros, forced him to give up the puck, and Methot recovered to get it to center. Jason Spezza with a long shot into the glove of Carey Price.
David Desharnais was the top of the conversation in Montreal and with Michel Therrien, and he was a healthy scratch. You see that one catch him on the kneecap in front of the net. But the good news is he's in front of the net, and that's a place where he hasn't been much of. Colorado game, he was invisible. He got healthy scratch as we look at Spezza's high shot to the glove hand of Carey Price. Not much problem there for him.
One assist for David Desharnais in 15 games, just 17 shots on goal.
He hasn't scored, and you got to go back 21 games before he's lit the lamp at all. And that's with, playoff hockey and playing with Pacioretty. I mean, he was the #1 centerman here for some time.
Thomas Plekanec and Lars Eller sort of share that job. Now, tough to decide on either of these teams if you're an opposing coach which line you're going to check. The remaining 3 pairs skate 2 performance numbers. Then Canada votes to crown a champion Sunday at 8. Battle of the Blades on CBC TV.
Problem with the Canadiens is they haven't been able to get more than one line going at one time. The Eller line started the season hot, and then they cooled the Plekanec line, but they haven't been able to get 2 or 3 lines going at once.
Eller line's on the ice, and they won the draw. A winger win by Gallagher. Here comes PK. Can't get the shot away. And the Senators get the puck back, and they'll flip it out to center. Eric Grant out here with Mika Zibanejad and Matt Cassio on a patchwork line, and back in comes Gallagher. Give and go with Galchenyuk. He turns, looks for some help. Advanced the puck, not deep enough, and he turned it over, but he's back defensively. Cassian slowly to center. Takes a long shot on Carey Price. Andre Markov starts the breakout. Gallagher, 2-foot pass to Lars Eller. Gains the line, just about gave up the puck, and he got a shot, and the rebound eluded Brendan Gallagher, who always seems to be around the front of the net. You watch his goals, almost always within 5 feet of the net, and he was right there again.
Goaltender's nuisance right there. He's always around there.
Frankie Bouillon makes the puck to center. Chris Phillips drifting back to get it. Pacioretty's right on him. Eric Greiba. Up the middle, here's Zach Smith. He's 1-on-3, drops the puck off. Greening shot, there's a rebound there, and Plekanec is back to get it. As the Canadiens try and start out, Gianna made a play against Greening on the boards. Plekanec with some speed, just onside. Pacioretty centering. Good back check by Chris Neal, got the puck for Ottawa. In the midst of a change, Greening dumps the puck in. And on comes the Turris line again, up against the Plekanec line. Robin Leonard out to play the puck. Team's been outshot 12-10. Back after the puck, Josh Georges. Turris is right on him. Just about stole the puck away. MacArthur is there, and he does get the puck from Josh Georges. Ryan on the boards. Out to center. Rennie Bourque straight up the middle. Desharnais trying to break away. Held on to by MacArthur, and Clark MacArthur will get a penalty. And for David Desharnais, that's a start. At least he's skating well enough to draw a penalty, and Montreal goes to the power play. They've scored once with a man advantage already.
Exactly what Michel Therrien was looking for from David Desharnais. Not necessarily production, goals, assists, and points, but how you play. Create scoring chances, do some good things. A 50-50 puck battle on the wall here with Ryan. He gets on the wrong side of Bourque, and off to the races they go. A nice little shovel pass to Desharnais. And I know Michel Therrien wants a penalty shot, but David Desharnais was not clear enough in the open, I think, to call for a penalty shot. But I think it's a good penalty by MacArthur. Never a bad idea to lay a puck on the net, especially a wobbly one like that, and makes the defenseman have to turn, makes the goalie have to make a save or create a rebound like that and a scoring chance.
So this power play 1-for-1 goes to work. Lars Eller starts on it. He's got Galchenyuk and Gallagher with him. Markov and Subban. Markov has a power play goal. Eller got the draw over to Markov, but he swiped at it and missed, so the Senators have a chance to clear it. Too many Canadians on the ice, though. They gain the puck and get it back and give it away. And Milan McCulloch gets to center. And Jason Spezza, the forwards on the penalty kill, and Spezza gets deep, kills some time. Now he backs off. Subban left the puck behind. Markov. Eller contained in his own zone, and now he'll start out. Gallagher with him up the middle. Galchenyuk already at the blue line to shoot in. Designs so he can get it back himself, and Eller did. Cycled into the corner. Thrown around to Andrei Markov. Quick pass. Eller, one-timer. What a great play by Markov, and Eller's one-timer went off the heel of his stick. Here's Subban. Markov. Cross seam. Eller. Subban. One-timer stopped by Leonard. Markov centering. Methot stopped that and cleared the puck.
Senators are going to have to make some adjustments on that seam play.
A giveaway here, and the puck just got over the blue line. And Derek Grant brought it in offside, and a close call there.
A little miscommunication between these two guys, and it happens. Carey Price is a very adept puck-handling goaltender. You don't see this very often from him, and a zig when a zag should have happened, and the puck got loose, but it was offside at the blue line. So no harm, no foul, as you see the two of them scrambling back to the middle of the ice to try to block the puck from coming in. But unfortunately, on a line change, the player coming off the bench from Ottawa is already offside. So taking it in caused the whistle.
So the Senators are through the first minute of this penalty to Clark MacArthur.
How many seam passes has Markov made through that one seam?
Half a dozen tonight.
Oh, it's incredible.
On two power plays.
They've got to adjust to that. It used to be to Camilleri for that one-timer all the time.
Back into the power play, Gionta. Pacioretty's knocked down. And the puck is cleared. Rafael Diaz is back. Ian Bouillon out of the power play. Diaz knocked Grant down and makes the pass up the middle. Plekanec to Gionta, and he mishandled the puck. So the Senators get it. Derek Grant back the other way, delays and takes a shot off a leg wide of the net. Max Pacioretty to Brian Gionta. He's got a little room, and he's got Plekanec down the right wing. Methot is back off the referee and up to center. Kyle Turris, one man back, and it's Andrei Markov who tries to dangle him and can't get by the wily veteran. Markov to Plekanec and in. Erik Karlsson is back. Penalty's over. MacArthur's back on. Montreal's 1 for 2 with a man advantage in a 1-1 tie. Kyle Turris all the way around to the right side, and Markov holds the puck in. Ready for it. Fornivall's in the slot. Desharnais in behind the net. Bourque turns away from a check, gets to the front of the goal, but can't get the shot. And Clark MacArthur gets the puck. Watched by David Desharnais. MacArthur to center. Colin Greeny couldn't get the puck. Subban stood up on it. Desharnais mishandled the puck. Methot to MacArthur, going the wrong way. Here's Erik Karlsson, got by one man, then dumped the puck in, and he wants to change. Pernell Carl takes over, and he skates to center for Montreal. Hearing the boos, he put the puck on net, and he wants to change as well. A stretch pass on a line change, just out of the reach of Corey Conacher, and that's an Ottawa icing call.
Well, this guy's got 4 assists and a goal in his last 5 games. I think he's been the best player on the ice tonight. I got to tell you, and he's looked so sharp. And here's a one-on-one, and what you want to do is do not let him cut inside. But because he's a right-hand shot, he can also cut around you and get to his forehand. He does a nice job of keeping him on the outside, and as he goes to cut in, stick on puck right away.
I know it's early, but it is a bit of a dilemma for Marc Bergevin in that he has to sign, if he wants to, the unrestricted free agent Markov and the restricted free agent PK Subban. There's a lot of dough.
And Gianto is an unrestricted free agent.
Conacher to Milan McCulloch. With Jason Spezza, different looking line after a penalty kill, but already in this period, Paul McLean's been experimenting with a few different combinations. McCulloch and Spezza back together again. They've got to find some consistent scores for Jason Spezza. McCulloch. Conacher takes the shot. That's blocked before it got through. George has got that. Jason Spezza, centering pass, and in front, Conacher couldn't handle it. That sends Travis Moen away to center. Galchenyuk. Drop pass, and White's shot is stopped by Robin Lehner, and he steers the puck out of play. Almost halfway through the second period, still tied 1-1 on a special Thursday edition of CBC's Hockey Night in Canada.
Back, are you familiar with My Giving Moment? It's a great way to help fellow Canadians. His Excellency, the Right Honorable David Johnston, Governor General, he had an idea, and the key was basically to have a more kind, caring Canada by helping others, and Milan Mahalik has fallen into line. He's donated 2 lower bowl tickets to each Sens home game to the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. A great idea and great execution by the NHL community. Jim?
Great giving moment from Milan, and now he'd like to entertain the people in those seats by scoring a goal or two. And he looks like he's going to be back with Jason Spezza here for a while.
He'd like to give him something to cheer about, that's for sure.
Plekanec finally beat Turris on a draw, and Frankie Bouillon's shot was blocked. MacArthur, here's Bobby Ryan, back to Clark MacArthur. Bouillon cut him off. Puck's left behind the net. There was quite a battle there, and they're both going to go. I think Bouillon and MacArthur tied each other up. Probably could have let it just go, but they were fouling each other equally, but they're both going to get penalties.
It's kind of the first bit of nastiness we've really seen between these two teams. I mean, you look at what happened between them last year and all the issues, and MacArthur wasn't even here for that, as he takes exception to Bouillon hanging on to him, and they just kind of go at it. The referee says, okay, gentlemen, we'll take both of you. But I think with everything that happened previously between these two teams and these two coaching staffs and everyone else included, you thought there'd be a little more of that going on tonight. There hasn't really been.
You think that would have been called in that playoff series?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it was off the ice during the press conferences. It was on the ice during the games. I mean, a very emotional series that eventually Ottawa took them down in 5, and I think it's still stinging in Montreal.
4-on-4. Kyle Turris won the draw. He's been excellent at that tonight. That's an area of his game has really improved. Kyle's a bigger guy now. He was pretty skinny, lightweight young man when he arrived here in Ottawa, but he's bulked up considerably. You can see it in his game. Same as Lars Eller, who's really become a good center, and he's on the ice. On the other side, look at the room for Markov. He shoots off a stick wide. Gallagher right there at the net, as usual. And he got a face full of Eric Gryba as he tried to poke the puck behind Robin Lehner.
You know, and that's what I love about Brendan Gallagher, you know, and I thought he should have been right up there with the Calder Trophy. And last year, I mean, he's one of those strong players. You go to the dirty zones of the ice, and he's not a big guy. And Montreal doesn't have a lot of big players, so he plays big.
He really reminds me of Theo Fleury.
Oh, you know what? And again, I don't think Giunta was as gritty, but again, a young Brian Giunta.
Yeah,
I think it's a great guy for him to follow. When you look at the size of the Montreal Canadiens, and look at the smaller players in the league, they've got a large percentage of them in Montreal. 3 of them under 5'8", and a much smaller team. And a lot of people believe that during the regular season, their skating and transition is excellent, gets them in a playoff spot. But come playoff time, it's tough for them to win against the bigger teams. And again, last year at Ottawa, they might have proved that fact.
Can't make them any bigger.
Well, they've added some big guys. You know,
yeah,
they brought some grit and Prust, and they added Parros and that, but that's not on their top 6 forwards.
Prust is a guy they really miss. Still out with an injury, and Alexei Yemlin will make a difference when he comes back. You'll see a doctor on Monday, maybe as little as a week or 10 days away. But he's in full practice mode now as David Desharnais carries the puck in. He's back with Max Pacioretty in a 4-on-4 shift. And Desharnais gets to the puck. Subban pushed into the boards by Zach Smith. Good battle here. Desharnais comes in to help. Carlson takes the puck away. Just about gave it back. Rafael Diaz. His long pass to David Desharnais. Pacioretty with him as he drives wide on Carlson. He's trying to take the man. You can see how strong Desharnais is. He's diminutive in size, but he held off Carlson there. Georges to Diaz.
And those are the kind of plays we weren't seeing from David Desharnais. He's definitely been more engaged in the game, and he's been around the net a little more and involved in some plays at the net, so that's a good sign.
Here's Brian Gionta. That's just onside. Plekanec looking for the rebound. He poked it wide of the net. Jason Spezza out with Milan Nikolic. Mark Borowiecki. Big wide. Methot defers. Spezza moves in. Shoots. Great save by Price. Rebound. Score. Mark Methot. A Jason Spezza rush turns into a Mark Methot goal on a rebound. 2-1 Ottawa.
We discussed the breakouts for Ottawa, and exiting the zone has been a tough thing. Well, Mark Borowiecki is going to get a puck, and he's going to make a great seam pass right across here to Methot, who rolls it over to Spezza and continues up with the play closely. You don't want your defenseman leading the rush in most cases, unless it's Carlson, but follow the rush tightly. It's an ill-advised kicked-out rebound by Carey Price. It deflects off a skate and goes right over to Mark Methot on his forehand, and we'll see this rebound on the net cam from Lasik. It ends up in the back of the net, as it shows very clearly. Tough rebound for Price. Put the puck to the net for Jason Spezza, and a 2-1 lead on the Mark Methot goal for the Ottawa Senators.
Mark's second of the season has really brought some life to this building, too, at 11:31 of the second period. So instead of chasing the game, Ottawa's got a lead here against Montreal. They've been outshot 17-12. But an opportunistic goal against Carey Price, and now they send their top line, centered by Kyle Turris, out to try and build upon that. Park MacArthur in deep. Methot given an unassisted goal. Borowiecki to Mark Methot and back. There's Bobby Ryan. In deep, Turris is in front. Park MacArthur gets the puck back to Borowiecki. Screen shot, scores! And they'll collect the puck for Mark Borowiecki as the local boy makes it 3-1 Ottawa.
He played in Smith Falls in the Central Junior Hockey League, not too far from here. Makes his home stone's throw from the rink. What a big moment for Mark Borowiecki. His first career National Hockey League goal. He was called up to bring a little more grit to the lineup, a little more energy, a little more personality, so to speak. And we talked about him breaking out the goal that was scored by Mark Methot. And right here, he gets a seam pass to the point. He unloads it quickly. Look at the depth screening. You got PK Subban and Travis Moan, who are out in the high slot, two white sweaters. None of them failed to block it. And this is a very good shot blocking team in Montreal. But the puck finds its way through. Carey Price, I don't even believe, saw it. It goes into the net, and Bobby Ryan picks it up.
37 seconds after his partner scored, Mark Methot's second of the season, Mark Borowiecki gets his first National Hockey League goal, and this makes it a 3-1 Ottawa lead. And now they're back in looking for more. Centering pass right in front. Here's Phillips with a shot off the post. They just about got another one in a point shot with a crowd in front of the net. Now there's going to be a penalty here. It's going to be against Ottawa on the back check. Rennie Morton gives up the puck, or tried to. Rafael Diaz with an extra attacker on a delayed penalty call. Here's Josh Georges in behind the net. And as the Senators get possession, they've got a couple of goals, and now they'll be shorthanded. 3-1 Ottawa. They'll be shorthanded as Zibanejad goes off on Hockey Night in Canada. All of a sudden, there's a lot going on in this game. 2 goals, now a penalty and a back check to Mika Zibanejad, who thinks this should have been a dive, too.
I think he's a bit right. I mean, he put his arm in there for sure, but he went down awful easily hard. You know what? Anyone who's played this game has done this before. And Mark Borowiecki put that one into his own net. It ended up being a loss to Dallas at home, and he felt absolutely awful. And I'll tell you one thing, it's much better putting him in the other team's net than your own. And he rips this one home, and what a great feeling for him. And congratulations to Mark Borowiecki on his first National Hockey League goal.
And if that didn't go off PK Subban, it was close to it, and he was an ample screen in front of Carey Price.
Well, it's one thing about blocking shots. When you go out to get it, you've got to get it, because if you don't, your goaltender may not be able to pick it up.
PK hears the boos as he starts quickly out on the power play. It's a big power play for Montreal to try and get this back to a 1-goal game before the second period comes to an end. Power plays 1 for 2. Subban and Markov man the points. Buchanan is up front. Gianta, Max Pacioretty. Pacioretty's been pretty quiet. Trying to play the puck back to Subban. Can't get it by Zach Smith. He clears the puck. But for the first time in the game after scoring a couple of goals, Ottawa's got some energy in their game. They've got some pace to their game that they didn't have before.
And it's been deserved. They've hunted down some pucks and they've found a way to bury them, and they've got some energy in the crowd.
Here's Markov. Will he cross seam the pass? No, it plays it to the side of the net. Ottawa didn't give him that cross seam pass for the one-timer this time. Ooh, PK was in a little trouble against Derek Grant, but he recovered. Here's Pacioretty fending off one man. His backhander, big rebound, great save by Leonard on Markov. Oh, he stayed with it after stopping Pacioretty, made a wonderful save of Andrei Markov on the rebound. Subban slowly to the blue line and over. Got Lars Eller just ahead, and the kid line comes out of the power play now with 30 seconds left in it. Eller has Gallagher and Galchenyuk with him. Spezza takes the puck and he clears it for Ottawa. PK wants to change, so he sends Frankie Bouillon back for the puck. One last rush on the man advantage for Montreal. Brendan Gallagher. Pass for Eller, knocked down by Mark Method. Eller got it back. Here's Galchenyuk alone in front, and Diaz couldn't handle the pass. It bounced off his stick, but he was all alone. And a teammate there, too. That was basically a 3-on-0 in front of Leonard, and the Canadians got nothing, and the penalty is over. Zibanejad is back on. Montreal's 1 for 3 on the power play. McCullough takes a shot, a weak one with an off a leg in front of the net. Gallagher late in his shift. Dumps the puck in to facilitate a change. Eric Kreibe is back. Just got to center so he could dump the puck in. The tourist line is on the ice. Bobby Ryan with a backhander that was blocked. René Bourque. David Desharnais goes up the middle after the puck. Michael Bonneval, and he made a move at the line that put René Bourque offside. Max Pacioretty hasn't had an awful lot going on in this game, but he drove to the net on his backhand, but watch the save on the rebound of Andrei Markov.
Welcome back. This is one of those great stories of resilience. Corey Conacher, born with his bladder outside his body. He spent months in the hospital as a baby, needed 5 surgeries. There he is as a young player. And then at age 8, he was diagnosed with diabetes. Every day he has to take insulin injections. Still, he didn't let that hold him back. Here he is now, twice named Canisius College Athlete of the Year, awarded Burlington, Ontario's Male Athlete of the Year 2 years ago. And tonight, guys, he's playing in his 63rd career NHL game. The lesson, keep fighting, never give up.
He and Kevin Bieksa, the most famous Burlington Cougars in the NHL, and there's another Ottawa penalty coming up here. It's a trip as Pacioretty was taken down, and the Senators, who have a 2-goal lead, will have to kill another penalty as Erik Karlsson goes off, and we really haven't seen an awful lot of Erik tonight. Hasn't been prominent.
No, we haven't. He's been fairly quiet in the first period. We saw a couple of turnovers, and then power plays as Pacioretty gives him the outside in. As he cuts in, Karlsson's going to lay his right skate right in front of Pacioretty in the trip, and he'll be shorthanded. And And one thing about that team with Corey Conacher, I thought it was a team from Sweden. You see all the blondes on that team?
Long-haired blondes.
They must have dyed their hair for the playoff games there. But Montreal's got their work cut out for them, allowing 3 goals. They've done that 7 times this year. They've only come back to win 1 game, 0-5-1 when they allow 3 or more goals.
Canadians got the face-off. Gionta from Canets, Pacioretty up front, Subban and Markov switch sides right now at the blue line. Senators haven't had a game this season where they've had more power plays than their opponent. PK with a hot shot. Rebounds loose in front of the net. Gionta and Plekanec can't get a hold of it. Here we go again, and no big windup this time. Markov, Subban, one-timer that went off of Kyle Turris before it got to the goaltender, and the puck is cleared.
You got Markov on one side that is a seam crusher, and then you got the guy who can crush the puck, and you've got to be so tight as you're a penalty killer. Good job by Montreal.
Centering pass, knocked away, loose puck, and it's in the net, but it's waved off. There was interference in the crease. That's what the referee will rule here. And guess who? Brendan Gallagher going to the net again as the puck was shot into the goal by Reddy Bourque, but it was waved off immediately.
Both guys are missing their mask, and these guys had words earlier. Down in the first period, Leonard had some words with Brendan Gallagher. Believe me, look at the eyes on that guy. Tell me he's not into it. Those are like quarters. And he's got snap capability, Robin Leonard. We've seen that before, but keep it in check. He's playing some pretty good hockey, and Brendan Gallagher's always around the net. We'll have a look at this. I don't think they're going to believe that Gallagher made every effort to get out of the way. He does get played by the defenseman, but he doesn't get pushed. He doesn't stop.
Accidentally on purpose wipes out Robin Leonard.
That's a good call. Absolutely good call as they try to rip the head off with the helmet attached to it.
This will be the 4th trip to the penalty box for Brendan Gallagher tonight, and that'll nullify a power play for his team.
You love the way he plays. They're down 3-1. The goaltender's been certainly a difference in this hockey game as you're out shooting the Senators 22-13 and you're losing 3-1. And he took it upon himself to run into him. And I'm not sure, there's not many players on the Habs right now that could take 4 penalties and still be playing in this hockey game. But right now, we'll see, but I imagine he'll be back on the ice. Plays hard.
Hasn't been an awful game for Montreal. They were the better team until the game changed on one rush by Jason Spezza, the rebound goal by Methot, and another quick goal after that, and all of a sudden it's 3-1 Ottawa.
You know, I think when they scored the first goal of the game, and to 28 seconds later to allow Ryan to score, I think that really, got Ottawa, back on track, and Montreal just didn't protect the lead.
Goaltender interference to Brendan Gallagher. He's off. It is 4-on-4. Rafael Diaz awaits the arrival of the puck and plays it in, then gets it back. D to D on the other side. Georges holds the puck in. Reddy Bourque was all tied up. Chris Phillips takes the puck away, then gave it away to David Desharnais. Desharnais up at the attacking blue line already. Reddy Bourque trying to smeagol in along the boards, but he couldn't do it with the puck. Phillips chased by Lars Eller. Spezza regroups. Got by Pacioretty, can't get by Markov. Needs some help. Mark Methot, or Jared Cowan is there, and he can't quite come up with the puck. Methot is back there waiting for it. 1-on-2, Methot just makes sure the puck gets deep and then goes after it. And Lars Eller is back, and the Canadians will start out. Carlson's back on the ice. Ottawa's on a power play for 40 seconds here. Leading 3-1 with under 2 minutes to go in the period. Long shot down the ice, and Leonard, like a good shortstop, had to get down in front of that. Here's Erik Karlsson, winds up and dumps the puck in from center. Chris Neil is on the fly, and the bounce came back to Carey Price, and he hangs on. Special Thursday night edition from Ottawa. Full lineup coming up on Saturday. The Toronto Maple Leafs face the Boston Bruins in Boston for the first time since their playoff meeting last spring. And later on, Vancouver on a tough road trip through the Pacific Division. Stops in Los Angeles, and 2 of the top teams out west meet on Hockey Night in Canada.
Toronto will have some flashbacks there going back into Boston. What a series that was.
Toronto's been off all week. They have a Game against New Jersey on Hall of Fame weekend, tomorrow night at home, and then into Boston, where the Bruins have been struggling to get their game together. Bo Julian's not a very happy coach these days.
Well, there's a few of them going around the National Hockey League. Toronto's just got to get healthy. They're missing some key guys there that they need for the depth of those forward lines. They're all together. That's a pretty good set of forwards.
Penalty is over. Gallagher's back on. Teams are 5-on-5 again with a minute to go in the period. Gianna found the puck first against Carlson, but a good recovery by Eric, and he got the puck back. Diaz, Smith, McCulloch, and Greeny out together for Ottawa. It's tough to figure what Paul McLean wants to do with his lines in this period because it's been broken up with a lot of penalties. And he's made a few different adjustments, whether it's because of the penalties or not. Hard to tell.
He's not a line matcher per se. He will match defense pairings, but he doesn't get all caught up in the lines like Michel Therrien might. But so far, you're right. The power plays have split it all up.
There's David Desharnais. Had some open ice, but he lost it in a hurry, and the puck drifts to Robin Leonard, and he hangs on.
It's been a night for defensemen. 3 of the 4 goals scored by defensemen in this game. Only the one by Bobby Ryan. And that last play where you saw Karlsson make that turn, and you commented, you said, you know, he kind of got over and cut him off. And that's the quickness of Karlsson. And maybe last year when he came back from the injury, that was a pivot you might not have seen as comfortably, the confidence in the pivot. Right there, you can tell he's not even thinking about it anymore. As soon as the puck turned over, his outside leg opened and the push came off it, and that's where he's so good on angling and 45-degree angles for young defensemen. Learn those.
Here's Markov right off the draw. That's blocked by Mark Method. He got it in the side of the foot. And he checks his foot now as he watches the puck drift back to Andrei Markov. Paired with PK Subban, who has 7 shots on goal. He's been a little more prominent than Karlsson. So look at those two playing against each other. Second period comes to an end, and the Ottawa Senators got the only 2 goals of the middle period, and will go into the third with a home ice 3-1 lead on home ice, where they're 1-3-2 in the 6 games that they played in the Canadian Tire Center. Mark Borowiecki got his first National Hockey League goal 37 seconds after Mark Method got his second of the season. CBC's Hockey Night in Canada from Ottawa continues in a moment. Welcome back to Hockey Night in Canada. No, you're not confused. It is Thursday night, and we have a special for you from Ottawa. Senators and the Montreal Canadiens. It's 3-1 for Ottawa as the third period begins. Our regular Saturday night fare coming up in 2 days with Boston and Toronto, Los Angeles and Vancouver. And tonight is a comeback in store for the Montreal Canadiens. Likely see a lot of PK Subban in the third period as they try and generate some offense. He's their leading scorer. Bobby Ryan, who scored the first goal for Ottawa, dumps the puck in with Kyle Turris and Clark MacArthur. From the blue line, Erik Karlsson on the other side. Jared Cowan moves in. His slap pass is knocked down in front of the net. And Max Pacioretty clears the puck the distance. This is an icing call against Montreal. Well, it's waved off. Both teams make changes here as everybody pretty much stopped. Karlsson comes back for the puck. His pass hit his own man. It deflected up and hit Chris Neil. He got it in the face.
Well,
he's in trouble.
Yeah, he's been cut. And there's a trail of blood as he's heading towards the Ottawa Senator bench, and trainer Jerry Poundham's going to grab him. They're going to take him right to the locker room. And this, you know, I don't know if anyone has seen the Travis Moan injury. It's very similar to this one where you're so close to the puck. It comes up so fast as Karlsson goes to flip this cross ice. Neil just skates into it, and it catches him in the crux of his nose and his eyebrow. And he's not looking for Chris Neil, obviously. He's looking to go rink wide, and unfortunately he clips his teammate right in that face with the puck, and that'll set off some blood for sure. And it's as you see it on his hand immediately, and he got right up, and you see it right on that eyebrow. And Travis Moan is playing tonight. It's his first game back from his injury, and again, he was in front of his net, and a clearing pass from his own teammate caught him in the face like that. And I know Chris Neil's never going to wear a visor, that's for sure, but that certainly would have saved him a few more railroad tracks on his face. He's got plenty of them.
Might have to wear one short term. You see Travis Moan with the visor on after his injury while playing against San Jose. Tonight we're looking at these two. We started the evening by looking at the last 2 Norris Trophy winners. Both lead their team in scoring. Tonight, Karlsson didn't play very much in the second period. PK played a lot. And you see he has a third of the Canadiens' shots on goal.
He's definitely been involved more in their offense, and he's got a point tonight. And Erik Karlsson had some turnover issues very early in the game, and I think even in the second period, a number of penalties which he did not kill a lot, only 5 seconds. But at the end of the day, when the 4-on-4 came about, which is where you'd see Erik Karlsson, he actually was sitting in the penalty box for tripping, so he didn't get a chance to play then. So a period in the second where his minutes were under 6 minutes after he played 10 minutes and 12 seconds in the first period.
General manager of the Montreal Canadiens, Marc Bergevin.
Stressful times. It doesn't matter whether you're what part of the season you're in. It's stressful.
You just got to win.
Yeah.
Both of these teams have played so much in the West, and now in the month of November, they've both got to play a lot in the Eastern Conference, and finally they get to play within their division. And so the games take on a little more importance still as they try and stay with the playoff pack.
You get a good start and you give yourself a bit of room, so if you do have a bit of a bobble somewhere in the schedule, you've got some padding there. Both these teams are at the point where they've got to start winning some consecutive games and kind of separate themselves.
There's another turnover, this time by Montreal, and the man who turned it over gets the puck back. Andrei Markov. Galchenyuk with a long shot on Robin Lehner, who's been solid. Lars Eller. Galchenyuk. Gallagher's in the slot. Bouillon comes in. The shot off the wing hit the crowd. And McCulloch to the blue line. Not out. Gallagher with a turnaround slap shot that was stopped by Leonard. Galchenyuk missed. Colin Greening after the puck. Snatched away by Brendan Gallagher. Another chance for Ottawa to get out, and this time they'll make good and get to center. Jolan McCulloch. Spezza with him coming off the bench. The shot to the net. Carey Price makes the save. And Spezza gets to the puck first, and he'll play it out to center to get control on a regroup. The thought to Spezza. Pass missed him and goes for icing.
We talked about big Colin Greening and trying to get more out of him. And this is a puck that comes up the wall that he loses the battle to Brendan Gallagher on. I mean, it's just a puck you got to have out. He's got position on him. He can use his body and size, and instead he allows the much smaller player who's just outworking him win that 50-50 puck battle, and that's extra end zone time. Luckily enough for Ottawa, they got down and cleared out of the zone.
If you spend 30 seconds trying to get out of your own zone, you've got no time left in the shift for offense. Canadians on the attack here. Josh Georges. Michael Bonneval. Watched by Martin Lafont. Forced to the boards and forced out to center. Derek Grant. Jason Spezza. Corey Conacher. Spezza's had a number of different line mates tonight, and he's got two different ones here. And now he's going to change, and there's an icing call, and Montreal won't be able to change.
Well, they've got a 2-goal lead, and I think the mantra in the locker room is going to be to just keep the puck moving forward, keep the puck in the offensive zone. Let's not spend extra time in the end like you were talking about, and just keep the turnovers to a very minimum here. We've had enough already to complete the game with. So just put the puck in safe places and don't try to make something that's not there. We're the team with the lead. Let Montreal open up and try to score.
Love the expression in situations like this when you have a couple of goal lead, play an over and over game. Out over our blue line, in over theirs.
So true.
Erik Karlsson. Jared Cowan returns the pass. Turris line is on the ice. Turris had the puck go off his stick to PK Subban. Bouillon. PK, who hears some boos as he flips the puck in, and Leonard had to handle that carefully with Thomas Plekanec right there, and another stop in play. And a sluggish third period here probably favors the team up by 2 goals.
Absolutely, just kill it. Let it die on the vine here as PK Subban will get his 8th shot on net as he flips this one, and he's just looking for any kind of crazy bounce as it lands before Robin Lehner, who does a very good job of getting out and trapping that down. Sometimes those little bouncing shots like that can create a lot of headaches. We've seen them go in from a long distance.
Canadians need some offense. Don't know where it's going to come from. The kid line is probably their best bet. But they're a bit like Ottawa in that they have one line going, and that's the Eller line. And they need some offense from elsewhere, like from Max Pacioretty, who's out here with Thomas Plekanec right now, and Brian Gionta. Plekanec gets to the puck. Gionta's parked in front of the net. The pass comes around on the boards, but it's intercepted before it gets to Subban. There's Derek Grant crisscrossing with McCulloch. Maybe one crisscross too many. And a weak shot went wide. Grant to the blue line. Phillips with the shot, and that's absorbed by Carey Price.
A lot of collapsing going on in this game, and we've already had 2 goals scored by defensemen from Ottawa who joined the rush and been from the blue line. This is another blue line shot for Chris Phillips, and you look at him and he's going to be wide open. All the Canadians coming down below the hash marks, joining everybody below the tops of the circles, and there's Chris Phillips, who walks into a pretty good shot here. Ottawa's done a good job of locating the open points, and Ottawa's defensemen have done a good job of getting pucks through to Carey Price.
And Ottawa's been pretty good on the face-offs, and they won that one. Turris has been especially good. Didn't have a great second period, but his first and third have been okay. Greiber's shot is a weak one. Easily stopped by Carey Price, and Turris will get another chance to win a face-off in the attacking zone.
When you face a good shot-blocking team like Montreal has become this year, and it's been a real staple for them as they lead the National Hockey League, you come into the game as a defenseman a little more focused. You know they block a lot of shots. You know they're going to sacrifice themselves. So take an extra second to make sure you've got the right shooting lane, because you don't want to have shots blocked all night and create offense for your opposition.
Turris and Eller. This time Eller wins the draw. Turris has had most of his success facing off against Plekanec. They played against each other much of the night. Eller, Gallagher, and Galchenyuk in after the puck. Ryan couldn't get the puck out. Markov with a shot that Robin Leonard stopped. And Gallagher takes over in the corner. Nice evasive move on Greiber in the corner to the blue line. Not out. Here's Markov. On the other side, gets a return pass from Diaz and fires a shot. A hard one that just missed the net. Michel Therrien switched up his D pairs here. He has Markov playing with Diaz right now. PK Subban with Bouillon. Here's Bobby Ryan. Down on the boards. Held in by Korpietski. Park MacArthur out of the reach of Ryan, and they're going to head for the bench on a line change as Montreal comes out. Galchenyuk in on the thought. He dumps the puck in. Montreal wants a change as well. Josh Georges shot the puck in for Montreal. Korpietski flushed out by Travis Moen. Racing to the puck to hold it in is Georges. Desharnais from Moen. Korpietski comes in. On the boards, Desharnais read that was in the right place. Now he throws the puck at the net, deflected right on. Travis Moen got a piece of that. And goaltender Robin Leonard got all of it.
You know, Montreal just hasn't been forechecking as ferocious as they sometimes do with their 2 men. This is the first time they've sent 2 guys into the zone, and they got a scoring chance out of it. Gallagher chips this by, and I'm okay with this one right there. I'm not okay with that one.
Interference?
Yeah, absolutely. He makes a good play on Gallagher as he goes by him. Give him that one little bit of contact, but when he steps in front of Eller, I think he was fortunate not to get a penalty there. And here's the shot to the net that just got tipped out in front. Robin Leonard's been sharp.
Getting close to 30 shots again against Ottawa. PK Subban with a shot that didn't get through. Canadians get the puck back. Plekanec, Giunta working in front of the net. Pacioretty, Plekanec, sharp angle shot. A nice save by Leonard. He kicked that out, and that sends Bobby Ryan away. He's got Park MacArthur with it. 2-on-3. Can't get by Andre Markov. And PK Subban get crossed up here. Turris just about stole the puck. And Bobby Ryan was spilled unceremoniously to the corner, but the Senators have the puck. Carlson with a wrist shot, tipped just wide of the net. PK Subban. Now he settles things down. He was trying to stick handle in the feet of Andre Markov, and that crossed the Canadians up a bit. Pacioretty plays the puck back. Giunta to Pacioretty, end of a shift. David Desharnais after Erik Karlsson. Jared Cowan plays the puck back, and Karlsson looks up ice. A tip in by Conacher. Conacher out with Spezza now. And Colin Greening, but back the other way come the Canadians. Rennie Bourque off the wing, shot wide. Spezza gets to the puck first. Gets some help from Greening to get out to center. Conacher gets his head up indeed because Bouillon was right there to hit him at the line. Diaz. Desharnais. Conacher tracks him down, takes the man. Puck is loose and picked up by Michael Bonifant. Senators send it in. Spezza line finishes the shift and turns it over to Zach Smith's group. And Chris Neal is back in the game, patched up after he was hit in the face. Chris Phillips Eric Greiba up the boards. Neal can't get the puck out against the pitching Josh Georges. Zach Smith will try the other direction. Phillips up the middle. Missed his teammates, but got the puck into the neutral zone. Eller moves back in. His pass. Galchenyuk got it, even though the pass wasn't on his stick, and Leonard covers up. And guess who's right there on the doorstep again? Brendan Gallagher without his helmet, and for the 52nd time tonight has to be pulled out of the goal mouth by an Ottawa defenseman. Michel Therrien and the Canadiens down by 2 in Ottawa on CBC's Hockey Night in Canada. Time now for our Hockey Night Close-Up, brought to you by Subway Restaurants. And tonight we feature Brendan Gallagher. If you want to find him, just look around the goal crease of the opponent.
If you just drew a circle about 8 feet all the way around there, that's where you'll see number 11. And he knows he has to go there to score goals, and he doesn't mind it. And you'll see him all over Robin Lehner. He's been on top of him. He's actually drilled him into the net once. He has taken a number of penalties tonight, and I'm sure he would like to have taken some of them back, but nobody plays harder, and I think Michel Therrien wishes he had a number of guys played just like him.
Here's Clark MacArthur sliding a pass for Kyle Turris out of his reach. As the Senators put the Turris line on, hoping to get another goal and maybe put this one away. Puck's over the glass, out of play.
Certainly outshooting the Ottawa Senators by almost double. Robin Lehner's been fantastic tonight. Have a look at Chris Neal, and he took that puck in the face from his teammate Erik Karlsson, trying to exit the zone, and you can just see where it just caught him on the nose and then up above the eye, probably ricocheted off his nose, and pretty nasty little cut there.
Real close call. If practice tomorrow, we may not be able to see out of that.
Yeah, no, it's going to certainly have some ice bags on it tonight. It's the first time, though, he's had one of those.
Leads the team in stitches. Mark Methot for Ottawa. Corey Conacher off the boards, not out. Didn't get it out of his own end. Mark Borowiecki moves the puck ahead. Spezza off the board. They just about didn't get out again, but to center. McCulloch, Spezza, and Conacher back together. They started the season with a line like that, didn't they?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. They were the first line for quite a period of time, and then was shifting from Paul McLean.
A loose puck, looked like Leonard had it, and then it squirted loose, and the Senators are able to get it to the boards. Frankie Bouillon pitched down, held the puck in to the blue line. Here's PK Subban, little pass to the net, and shot wide by Bourneval, nowhere near the net. Bouillon, Subban makes a move, gets himself open, passes off. And Rennie Bourque couldn't get the shot. Big pressure here by Montreal. Bourneval chased by Jason Spezza. Centering pass. Bouillon has to come and get it. He gets the shot. Knocked down by Robin Lehner. Tierney. Rennie Bourque to the blue line. Here's PK Subban again. Walks the line. Looks towards the net and has to pass off. Too many Senators around. This is a shift that looks like it might end in a goal or a penalty. Great pressure by Montreal, trailing by a couple. Rennie Bourque turns on the board. Senators can't change. Montreal changing on the fly with the pressure on. Bourneval to the blue line. Subban turned and played the puck in along the boards. Rennie Bourque has Lars Eller fresh in front of the net. Pushed down by Mark Methot, who took the puck away, and he'll take the icing call and probably a timeout here halfway through the third period. And an icing call against Ottawa, and one that Mark Methot felt they needed. Marketplace goes undercover to reveal upselling and fraud in the oil change business. This is Friday at 8. That's tomorrow at 8 on CBC TV Marketplace. And Ottawa does indeed take a 30-second timeout here, but probably not a bad icing call for Mark Methot.
Yeah, I think they were just gassed, and it was one of the few shifts we've seen Montreal have some kind of sustained pressure where every puck they had 2 men on it. Every time there was a loose puck, they won the battle for it, and they kept Ottawa hemmed in their end for a good minute or so here. They had control of the puck, but Ottawa bends, but they don't break. You know, they stay in position. Everyone's got their guy covered. They don't let PK unload any big bullets from the point, and then they don't let no traffic to the net. None of the forwards, and you look at some of the small forwards that are on the ice, they just can't get through the big defenders on the backside and get to the front of the net to cause any kind of havoc in front of Robin Lehner.
Shots are 7-3 Montreal in this third period. 30-16 Montreal overall. They haven't had a bad night. They won the draw. Subban shoots and that hit a man in front of the net, knocked him down. Lafreniere took another one. Earlier he took one off the side of the foot and off this icing call. He's limping off the ice as the Senators scramble to change. I'm not sure that he intended to block that as much as it just hit him. It was a hard shot.
I think he's happy it hit him. When PK gets that one-timer or any kind of shot going, you know it's coming at a pretty good velocity, and you know it's going to sting. You'd like to be fronting it face front, but as he's taking this player out of the front of the net in Galchenyuk, he becomes the side. And when you have the side, you don't have a lot of padding off that side. Look at the twang of the stick, and that catches him right on the side. It looks like the knee or the back of the leg. And those absolutely sting. Took him right off his feet. That just can explain to you how hard PK Subban shoots that puck, and he'll shake that off and he'll be back. And boy, that'll sting tomorrow.
PK's had 8 on goal. He's had 5 blocked. That's 13 shots directed at the net by Subban tonight. And more to come. He's still on the ice, and here he is again, but he can't shoot. Ottawa's having a little trouble getting out of their own zone. And a penalty to Corey Conacher. Too many men on the ice here, and it's a shorthanded situation for Ottawa as the Canadians go to the power play and pour the pressure on as the puck is cleared by Kyle Turris down the ice. So Montreal with their 5th power play of the game. 1 goal they scored on their first power play. Andrei Markov got the goal. Aaron Kreibe is back. Lafreniere, after taking that shot back on the ice, poked the puck loose to the blue line, not out. Pacioretty's shot went off a stick and wide. Plekanec with Gionta. Pacioretty's in the slot. Kreibe looked after Gionta. Now he's got a hold of the puck, and he finds an opening and sends it down the ice. PK Subban. This might be the game here. Subban straight up the middle into the attacking zone, dumps the puck in. Gallagher comes on the ice. Pouillon pinching down, can't get a hold of the puck. Spezza gets it out. Milan McCulloch trying to pull away from Frankie Pouillon, and Pouillon did a good job in the back check and caught up before McCulloch could break away to the net. Half a minute to go, and the penalty being served by Corey Conacher. Pouillon to center. Diaz wide of the net. René Bourque. Gallagher played the puck back. Pouillon had to come and get it.
Okay.
And René Bourque's going to get a penalty that will take Montreal off the power play with 10 seconds left in the Ottawa penalty.
Tough penalty to take. You're in the offensive zone and you take that kind of hooking penalty, especially there's not a lot of time left in this game. Turris gets over and bumps Bourque, and as he goes to go, he holds onto the stick right there. And there's your penalty. Holding, not stick. Hooking. Yeah, holding the stick. Sorry, but nonetheless, it's going to be 2 minutes, and you're killing any kind of momentum you're developing. Montreal's actually had some good momentum. They've spent some time in the offensive zone 5-on-5. Then they drew the power play coming off that lengthy shift as Ottawa was trying to change. And so now you had some rhythm, and now you've got to go on and kill a penalty in 10 seconds.
Montreal penalty, number 17, René Bourque.
2-goal lead. Ottawa hasn't had much offense in this period, but basically they've just tried to work the clock. Conacher's back on, stays out of the power play. Ottawa with the man advantage. And a 2-goal lead with just over 8 minutes to go. Carey Price out to play the puck off the board. Diaz couldn't control it. A bouncing puck. Travis Moen sends the Senators back into their own zone to regroup. Conacher stays out of the power play. He's got McCulloch and Spezza with him. Spezza passes off. McCulloch in on his off wing. Drop the puck back to the blue line. Karlsson walks the line. Passes off. Spezza shoots. Just missed short side. Crazy bounce. It came straight back out, even though it was shot on an angle. Karlsson on the other side to Phillips. Room to walk in. He makes a slap pass. Spezza. Karlsson shoots. That's blocked. And Bourque clears the puck. Karlsson back to regroup. The Turris line is coming on with a man advantage. Kyle Turris on his left. Bobby Ryan, the pass to McCarthy to the net. He's stopped by Carey Price. Good burst of speed. by Clark MacArthur. Ryan, checked by Diaz. Loose puck for Plekanec. He'll start out with Gionta. Georgia stays with him on a 3-on-3 rush. Plekanec with a shot that ends up in the corner. And the Senators running out of time on the power play get back to center. Ryan to Clark MacArthur. One man to beat. We'll wait for some help and then just dump the puck in against Josh Georges. Turris lays the puck down. The foul. Carlson. Here's Turris. Slap pass. Sharp angle, and Ryan can't handle the pass. Throws it back to Kyle Turris. Here's Carlson. Passes off. Ryan is stopped by Carey Price, and he directs the puck out of play. There's a second left in the Bourque penalty.
What a great opportunity for Clark MacArthur to just bury this game with 6.5 minutes left here. He's going to get a chance to drive to the net. Carlson with a nice little breakout. Turris with the fake dump in, carries it into the zone and slides it to MacArthur. But he lost a bit of control of it going to the net, so he tried to just shovel it through. Good save by Carey Price, and then there you see sacrificing for the team, and the Montreal Canadiens have been doing this all season long so far. White sticks his leg out, gets it on the inside, and he walked up and down the Montreal hallway trying to shake that off.
Canadians clear the puck as Bourque comes out of the penalty box. Subban knew that. Just tried to spring him at center ice. So 5-on-5, and time running out for the Montreal Canadiens. Here's a 3-on-2 rush. Jack Smith to Colin Greening with Chris Neal. This is more like a checking line. You'd expect this group to be together. And they'll just work the boards and work the clock. Greening, Neal, weak shot is stopped easily by Price. Markov in a little trouble, plays the puck to PK Subban. And back. Ottawa is changing. Markov to Bourque at center ice. Puck's taken away by Eric Kreible. Jared Cowan to center. Spezza shoots the puck in. McCullough scoops the puck to the end boards. Conacher to the open side. Bonneval gets there first for Montreal. Poke check by the reach of Jared Cowan, who held the puck in only for a moment. Bonneval tracked down by McCullough, and they all fall down. Spezza turns with the puck. Carlson joins the rush. Sharp angle shot. Rebound. Spezza chipped it wide. Conacher knocked down in a collision with Bonneval. Diaz steps in and gets the puck. There's a penalty on the play. As Diaz started to take off, the play is stopped, and it's Michael Bonneval going to the penalty box. Ottawa to the power play to try and finish the Canadians off. Bonneval led with his stick as he checked Corey Conacher, and Montreal's down 2 and now shorthanded.
Well, when you try to insert the stick into the neck of the opposing player, normally that will result in a high sticking penalty. As Bonneval, the stick glanced off the glass and then just cut right back across the neck of Conacher, and unfortunately Montreal just taking too many penalties. When you're behind in a game, you just can't afford to be killing all the time, and in this third period they've taken a few and losing any kind of chance of getting back in this hockey game.
Fifth power play for Ottawa. They're 0 for 4, but this comes at a time where they can just work the clock. Spezza off the boards. McCullough in the slot. Conacher's in front of the net. And that's where the puck ends up. And McCullough came after. That's deflected. Montreal with a block there, and the puck's out of play.
Michel Therrien talked about Max Pacioretty being on the penalty killing unit. He's a big guy that can skate. He's got good reach, and right here, watch the nice play I believe he's going to make right in the slot on a loose rebound. Ottawa gets a high slot shot, and as everyone's looking after the front of the net, right there, in comes the stick of Pacioretty, and that deflects the puck of Milan Michalek out of harm's way.
Don't you think this is a place where, as a coach, you might want PK Subban killing a penalty because you need some offense?
You need to generate it somewhere, and maybe he's gassed a little bit. He has played a lot, but I would think that, yeah, this is a perfect opportunity to play him.
Markov is out there right now with Douglas Murray. Short-handed, Markov in deep. Ryan White up front. Travis Moen, who takes Phillips to the boards. Here's Erik Karlsson starting out of his own zone to Jason Spezza. Conacher is with him, takes the shot, and forces the face-off in the attacking zone with 1:12 to go on the 20-ball penalty.
And the other side to look at it is Michel Therrien is saying, you know what, while we're killing, I'll give him some rest, because in the last 3 minutes of this game, he's going to see a large part of it. So we want to have a rested, invigorated PK Subban. So there's two certainly ways to look at this. And for Montreal Canadiens, you've got to kill off this 1:12. And and then you got to go to work quickly.
Turris line comes over the boards for Ottawa. MacArthur and Ryan flank Kyle Turris. They get the puck back to Erik Karlsson. Turris. Down low, MacArthur kicks it back. Karlsson on the other side. Mark Methot, screen shot, that's blocked. Turris swats the puck back to Karlsson. Watched by Lars Eller. Turris slowly back to Karlsson. Methot's on the other side. Another shot doesn't get through. That was blocked by Rafael Diaz. Pacioretty trying to take off at center, and he couldn't take the puck with him, so he goes for a skate. Drags the puck. Gryba to Karlsson. And the power play moves in. Mark MacArthur along the boards, double team, but he got the puck back to the blue line. Gryba, Karlsson, wrist shot, steered aside by Carey Price. Kyle Turris trying to get away from Thomas Plekanec. He's all tied up, and the Canadians get the puck, and there's a chance for a 2-on-1. Plekanec, Gionta to the net, the trailer, Markov stopped by Leonard. Wonderful save by Robin Leonard on Andrei Markov. And that looked like it would really give the Canadians a chance to draw close. Here's PK Subban, just as you predicted, out right after the penalty kill, looking for some offense here in a 3-1 game.
That's twice he's hit the middle of the ice early in the game. The first shift he did it right there, where you don't see the puck just roll off a stick like that.
Here's PK again. This time off the glass, not out, knocked down by Zach Smith into the middle. Chris Neal, watched by Markov, turns and shoots, and that's deflected out of play. A 2-on-1 turned into a 3-on-1. Markov joined the rush. Robin Leonard, big save to keep his team in front by 2 on CBC's Hockey Night in Canada. Scoring in pairs tonight in Ottawa. 2 goals in 28 seconds in the first and 37 seconds apart in period number 2.
Well, it was defenseman night other than this goal by Bobby Ryan, a laser beam top shelf. Mark Methot, we saw Markov's goal earlier. Mark Methot, and then Mark Borowiecki on this snapper catches the short side on the screen, gets his first National Hockey League goal. And that was the one that put the Canadians 2 down, and they're still 2 down with 2:38 to go.
2 goals on 6 shots in the second period. Goals 37 seconds apart for Ottawa. And that has them ahead 3-1, looking to win 2 in a row. There's a chance for Gallagher stop. Eller with a weak shot. His stick got jammed. Poked loose by Brendan Gallagher around the net again. And the puck went through the blue and out the other side. Another great chance and an icing call here against Ottawa that'll put the faceoff back in their zone. So not for lack of chances, the Canadians. Markov had a beauty, and here Gallagher and Eller combined to get some good chances.
He traded in those 8 minutes and penalties for a goal. I think he's been just jamming at this net, and again he's going to jam this one. No puck luck, and got to give credit to Robin Leonard. Big body, he tracks it down, gets his legs across him, and Gallagher pokes it. It comes right across the paint, but no Canadians in sight.
Scramble off the draw. Plekanec gets the puck back to PK Subban. It was in his skates, and he dives to keep the puck in and away from Neal. Eric Gryba up the boards. PK read that, and Subban holds the puck in. Plekanec, Gionta's in front of the net. So is Max Pacioretty. Pacioretty goes after the puck. Markov pinched down. Pacioretty turns and fires off the glass. Racing to the puck is Chris Phillips, and he backhands the puck out to center. And Zach Smith dumps it in. Subban to center. Markov right with him on the rush. Dumps the puck in deep. Lars Eller centering pass. Galchenyuk was there, and the puck got away from him. Lots of ice time for Lars Eller. Galchenyuk and Gallagher late in the game here. Out with Markov and Subban with 1:22 to go. The puck was over the glass, out of play.
Well, once they get this puck into Ottawa's end, look to see Carey Price head to the bench. And Robin Leonard, you know, he hasn't had his normal 50-shot night here tonight, but he has been terrific here as he comes across. I don't know if that hit the paddle or the handle of his stick, as Galchenyuk's right at the net, but he has been fabulous, especially early in the game when Ottawa had some turnover issues in the first period. He had a lot of quality shots against them. Boy, he shut them down, only allowed the 1 goal.
Here comes Price. He's headed for the net. The extra attacker is on. Kyle Turris, though, has the puck. Stop, shoot, scores! Price barely got to the bench. Kyle Turris with an empty netter, and it's 4-1 Ottawa.
Well, you have to do it on the way up. Once you get possession of the puck and you start moving towards your opposition, you got to take them. But right here, Francis Bouillon comes across the blue line. Instead of getting the puck deep or into a place where his team could go after it, or at least at the net where you're looking for a frozen puck and a face-off, he turns it over. And when you turn it over, everyone's charging the net except for Kyle Turris, who picked up the loose puck. Good on him to wait out. Markov finds the empty net.
Made sure that he got the empty netter to make it 4-1. Kyle Turris' third goal of the season. And the Ottawa Senators are poised to win 2 in a row for just the second time this season and move to within a point of the Montreal Canadiens in the Atlantic Division. Despite a shaky start on a 5-game homestand, they'll get it started off the right way. Outshot again. They've given up 30 for the 12th time in 16 games. But they'll skate off with a victory. Back-to-back 4-1 wins, it appears, after the win over Columbus on Tuesday, as PK Subban has one last rush tonight. Dumps the puck in on Robin Leonard. He'll play it himself all the way down the ice. And there's an icing call against Ottawa with 10 seconds to go in the game. Lots of action on Saturday night. We're back with Hockey Night in Canada. Toronto pays its first visit to Boston this season. And later on, you'll see the Los Angeles Kings at home to the Vancouver Canucks on Hockey Night in Canada Saturday.
Well, I think Paul McLean will be a little bit upset with his troops early in this game, but really proud of them later on as they turnoveritis kind of bit them early, but they've settled that down, and to a man, I think they played a pretty solid second half of this hockey game, and it's going to be a big win for them.
Got a little confidence when they scored 2 goals in the second period from Mark Mathot and Mark Borowiecki. 2 wins in a row for the Ottawa Senators and a 4-1 victory at home over the Montreal Canadiens.
The Montreal Canadiens have got to find a way to score some goals. I mean, they're just not scoring enough. They're not generating enough through their lines. Not enough creativity in the offensive zone, and 1 goal a game is not going to get you wins.
4-1 final for Ottawa over Montreal in their first meeting of the season.